Okay, so
Electric vehicles, EVs, everybody's talking about them. It seems like everyone's making the switch, right?
yeah,
But here's the thing.
while the car market's speeding ahead,
Yeah.
the way we charge these
It's
EVs,
stuck in the slow lane.
yeah, it's like we've got this.
Classic infrastructure bottleneck. We're
Mhm.
seeing these incredible innovations in like electric vehicle technology,
Right.
but the ability to like quickly and conveniently charge those vehicles
Yeah.
hasn't quite kept pace, you know?
And that gap, that's where a company like Edison XFC sees an opportunity, right?
Absolutely.
Their claim,
Extreme fast charging.
it's attention grabbing, I'll give them that.
Yeah.
Speeds that could, like, rival a gas station, fill up a traditional gas station.
Wow.
But is it too good to be true?
Right.
That's the question,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
So we've got their website pulled up. We've
Yeah.
got their investment profile. We even found a YouTube video
Uh-huh.
that breaks down their tech. We're going to sift through all of it and
Right.
see if Edison XFC is really revolutionizing EV charging.
Or if this is just a bunch of, marketing spin.
I think what's interesting here, what I'm seeing from them,
Yeah.
is Edison XFC seems to get it right.
Get what?
It's not just about the speed.
Okay.
It's about the psychology, like they're putting out these materials, and it's all about replicating that, that gas station experience, that familiarity.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
They're going for those drivers who are
Maybe a little hesitant.
on the fence.
Yeah, hesitant to embrace EVs, because it's like charging, it's a hassle.
It's a pain.
Right.
So they're going for that.
This isn't so different from what you're used to.
Shineko.
Angle.
Makes sense.
Which, yeah, okay, I get it.
Yeah.
So let's dig into their claims here.
Okay.
They are promising a 10% to 80% charge
Okay.
in roughly 10 minutes.
Now, from where I'm sitting,
Huge, if you can do it.
it is huge. I mean, just think about it.
Current charging times,
Yeah.
even with quote unquote.
Fast chargers, right. You're
Right.
still looking at, what, 20 minutes?
At best, yeah.
At best. To get to 80%, sometimes way longer. It depends,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah, depend on the car.
A vehicle, the charger, all that.
Yeah, it's all over the place.
And Edison XFC, they're not messing around. They're not just shaving off a couple minutes here and there.
Sure. They're talking about like a fundamental shift, like how we approach charging, the whole thing.
Okay, so how are they going to pull that off?
Because they're talking a big game about solar power,
Right.
battery storage, and then there's this whole intelligent energy management thing.
It sounds really impressive.
It does sound impressive.
But, like, what are we really talking about here?
Well, let's break it down. The solar, the battery, that all ties into this key thing about DC power.
Okay.
So you've got your EV, right?
Yeah.
Stores energy in its battery
Huh.
using direct current DC power, right?
Okay, got it.
But the electricity grid, the one we're all hooked up to,
Right.
that's mostly alternating current, AC.
Okay.
So you got to convert that AC power from the grid to DC for the car battery.
And that takes time.
Ah, I see, yeah.
And you lose energy in the process.
Yeah.
It's inefficient.
Like translating a book, from one language to another.
Yes,
That
exactly.
getting's getting
So to
weird.
lose something in translation, right?
But here's the thing. If you power the charging station.
Directly with DC, right from the source.
Okay.
Like if you've got solar panels, battery storage,
You skip that step.
boom, you bypass that whole clunky AC to DC conversion.
Makes sense.
And that's where you get those super fast charging times.
Okay, I get that part, but what about this whole...
Intelligent energy management piece.
Right. So
What's that all about?
They throw that around, right? Optimizing energy flow, reducing grid dependence.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
It does, but
They're a little vague on the specifics, to be honest. And if they're going to say that's like their big differentiator.
yeah, if that's the secret sauce,
Right.
investors are going to want to see some details. Like, show me the receipts.
Right. Like, how does this intelligent management actually work in the real world?
Exactly. And what are the, quantifiable benefits? Give me the numbers.
Right. Because it sounds like they're not just a software company, right?
No, yeah,
They're actually developing hardware to make this whole thing a reality,
yes, absolutely.
which is a pretty big deal.
And they're partnering up, which I think is smart.
Okay.
They're working with these established equipment manufacturers.
I think that's probably to reassure investors, right? Like, hey, we're not just some kids in our garage building everything from scratch.
Right. They're trying to minimize risk,
Yeah.
leverage the expertise of these more established players.
Classic startup move.
But where are they at right now?
Like, development-wise, do they have a real product? Or is this all just, like, PowerPoint presentations and good intentions?
Okay, so according to their materials, they've moved past the the drawing board.
Yeah, okay.
They've got a pilot program going in Vegas.
Vegas, huh?
Yeah, so they're not just talking the talk, it seems like.
Okay, so a pilot program.
That does suggest they're moving beyond just, like, the idea phase, right?
Yeah.
But we all know a lot can happen
Oh, yeah.
between a pilot and, widespread adoption.
For sure.
So what's your take on this stage of development? What does it actually tell us?
It's crucial.
But it's definitely not a guarantee. A lot of things can go wrong. A pilot program? It lets them test the technology. But in the real world,
Right.
you can gather data, work out the kinks.
Yeah, because you never know what's going to happen until you get it out there.
Exactly. Think of it like a dress rehearsal, right?
Oh, okay.
Before the big opening night.
You got to work out the kinks before the real show.
Exactly.
They also mentioned that they are waiting on permits for this pilot program in Vegas.
Ah, yes.
That-
Permits.
Those regulatory hurdles.
Always a headache, right?
It can.
Especially with new technology, it's never straightforward. Getting those permits, it's a big deal.
It means they're moving forward, but delays can happen.
Of course.
And that can throw a wrench in things, impact their timeline, even scare off investors.
Speaking of investors.
Edison XFC, they're currently raising money, right? On Start Engine.
Right, which is
It's a platform.
very much geared towards these early stage companies.
Exactly. So before we get into like the nitty-gritty of the investment side,
For sure.
I think it's super important to explain like what does this really mean?
Yeah.
For our listeners who might not be familiar with Start Engine or these types of platforms.
Because it's not your typical stock market situation.
Right, exactly.
Like you're not buying into, Apple or something.
Right. This is very different.
This is like early stage. You're betting on potential here,
It's like you're not buying a finished product.
Right. It's like, are you buying the ingredients?
It's the idea, it's the hope, it's the
The
dream.
dream, exactly. It might work out, it might not. But you're in it for the long haul.
So with that in mind, I'm really curious. What aspects of Edison XFC's approach, their tech, their strategy?
What stands out to you is like, okay, this has potential.
Okay.
And on the flip side, what gives you pause?
Right. Great. I see what you're getting at.
Because they're not just talking about speed, right?
No, they're not.
They're trying to sell this whole, experience.
They're going for the whole package.
The whole package.
Yeah, and they're smart about it. Like, they're hitting all the points.
Dual charging ports, so you can use CCS, which is pretty standard.
Right, right.
But also Tesla's NACS, which is getting more popular. So they're covering their bases. They're thinking about payment options.
Safety, making sure the stations are well lit, secure.
Right, addressing those concerns people have.
Exactly. And then they even mention things like, restrooms, maybe even convenience stores at some locations, like you'd see at a gas station.
So they're really trying to play with that psychology, huh?
They want to make it as painless as possible, appealing to those gas holdouts,
Yeah, because switching from gas to electric, it's a big change for a lot of people.
It's a big leap, it's unfamiliar.
Totally. So if Edison XFC can make that transition feel less, I don't know,
Scary.
less daunting.
Less daunting.
More like, hey, this is just like what you're used to, just better.
Exactly.
Could be huge, but who knows? We'll see if it works.
We'll see, but it makes you wonder, right?
What's that?
Like, is this focus on mimicking the gas station? Is it too much?
Interesting point.
Like, is it clever? Sure, from a marketing standpoint, but maybe...
They're limiting themselves,
Right, like so focused on the present that they miss the bigger picture.
Exactly.
That's a good question to consider, for sure.
Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground. We talk about their claims, the tech, the strategy, the stage of development. It seems like Edison XFC.
They're really trying to position themselves as more than just,
A charging company.
more than just plugging in.
We want to be a lifestyle brand. Like, we're the solution to range anxiety.
Right, the whole package.
We're the bridge to a greener future.
And they're doing all this while trying to get everyday people like our listeners to invest.
Which is a whole other can of worms.
Right, and we have to be real here.
Absolutely.
There's potential rewards for sure, but the risks are real too.
Very real. And we're going to dive into all of that right after this.
It's going to be good.
Okay, so we've talked about the potential upside, right?
Yeah.
Edison XFC, the super fast charging, all that.
Right, the dream.
Well, let's flip the script for a second.
Okay, yeah.
What about the speed bumps?
Right, because there's always speed bumps.
The challenges, the things that could, throw a wrench in the works.
Absolutely, what could go wrong, right?
Exactly. What could go wrong? So when you look at Edison XFC, what are some of those potential roadblocks they might hit?
Well, I think one of the big ones right off the bat is scalability.
Okay, yeah, explain that.
They've got this pilot program,
In
right,
Vegas?
in Vegas, which is great.
It's a start
It's a start, but going from one location,
to, like, a nationwide network, let alone global.
oh yeah, they're talking big.
They're thinking big, but that's a whole other beast.
Yeah.
That's a whole other ball game, yeah.
We're talking logistics, supply
Ugh,
chains,
the headaches.
installation, maintenance. It gets messy.
It's like having this amazing recipe, right?
Okay.
You made this incredible cake, everyone loves it,
Uh-huh.
but you've only ever made it in your own kitchen.
Right.
Now, try making that same cake, but you got to do it in 1,000 different bakeries,
Oh, wow.
all with their own, like, weird ovens and different ingredients.
Yeah, good luck replicating that.
That's what they're up against, you know?
And it's not just the logistics, right?
No, because this tech, it doesn't sound cheap.
No, we're talking cutting edge.
So how do they make it affordable for, the average person?
Because if it costs like twice as much to use one of these super fast chargers.
Yeah, no one's going to use it.
It's a hard sell, People are price sensitive.
Totally. So they've got to find that sweet spot, right?
They do. They've got to walk that line.
Between, like, pushing the envelope.
Deletion.
Yeah, but also making it commercially viable.
Exactly. Otherwise,
It's a luxury product, for the few, not the many.
a niche thing, yeah.
Yeah. And then, on top of all that,
You've got competition.
oh yeah, because they're not the only ones trying to figure this out, right?
No, this space is heating up.
It's getting crowded.
You've got the big players. You've got startups popping up left and right.
It's the gold rush.
It really is. Everyone's trying to, stake their claim.
So what does that mean for Edison XFC? How do they stand out and all that?
Well, they've got to offer something different.
More than just speed.
Right, because speed is great, but it's not everything.
Okay, so what gives him an edge? What are they bringing to the table that's unique?
I think their focus on sustainability is big.
Okay. Yeah, talk about that a little bit.
So they're not just using solar, they're incorporating battery storage.
Which takes the pressure off the grid, right?
Exactly. Less reliance on fossil fuels.
And that's a big deal these days.
Huge selling point. People want to know where their energy's coming from.
Absolutely. And it's not just about, like, appealing to the eco-conscious consumer either, right?
No, it's bigger than that.
Because as more people switch to EVs, that's a lot more demand on the grid.
Exactly. And the grid, it's already strained as it is.
So if they can generate their own clean energy
It's not just a service, it's a solution.
to a much bigger problem, yeah.
And they're really smart about the whole user experience, too.
Okay, how so?
They get it. It's not just about plugging in your car and waiting. They want to make it an experience.
So it's more than just a charging station.
Yeah, they're talking about amenities,
Like what?
restrooms, convenience stores, even quick service restaurants at some locations.
So you can grab a coffee, grab a bite to eat.
Exactly. They're trying to make it so you don't mind waiting those 10
You're
minutes.
smart, because right now, charging your car, it's not exactly a fun outing,
No, it's usually a dingy parking lot with a broken machine.
Exactly. So if Edison XFC can change that perception,
Make it more I don't know, a rest stop on a road trip.
more enjoyable, more convenient.
It could be a game changer,
Yeah, it's like they're trying to tap into those psychological barriers people have.
Because, let's be real, switching from gas to electric, it's a big change for a lot of people.
Huge change.
It is, and they're trying to bridge that gap.
Make it feel less like a leap into the unknown.
Exactly. More like a natural progression.
Okay, so it sounds like Edison XFC, they're trying to position themselves at the forefront of this whole new era.
You may want to be the leaders, the ones who define what EV charging looks like.
Faster, cleaner, more user-friendly, and of course profitable.
That's the goal, right?
Yeah.
But it's not going to be easy.
No, we've talked about the challenges, the competition, the risks.
And that's where critical thinking comes in.
Right, you can't just get swept up in the hype.
No, you got to look beyond the marketing, the promises.
Ask the tough questions.
Exactly, because ultimately, Edison XFC, they're making a bet on the future.
And they're asking investors to do the same.
And that's a big decision, not one to take lightly.
So let's be real for a second, right? Putting your hard-earned money behind Edison XFC right now, it's a gamble, plain and simple.
It is. There's no way around it.
It could pay off huge. Who knows, right?
Sure, it could be a gold mine.
But you could also lose everything.
That's the name of the game.
That's the risk, right? Early stage investing, it's not for the faint of heart.
And it's important, really important to remember that,
They're not selling you, a guaranteed return.
no, it's all about potential. They're selling a vision.
Exactly. And you have to do your homework.
Absolutely. Don't just take their word for it, right?
No, you got to look under the hood.
So we talked about their tech, their strategy, all that.
Right.
But as an investor, you got to dig deeper.
Way deeper.
So if you're listening to this right now and thinking about investing,
What questions should you be asking yourself? Like right now, before you do anything.
first things first, right?
Do you really get their tech? Like, really understand it?
Compared to the competition, 'cause there's a lot of competition out there,
And look at their financials. Do they have a plan to make money?
because that's important.
It is. And don't just take their word for it. Look at the projections. Are they realistic?
Or are they just, inflating the numbers?
Because hope is not a strategy.
And maybe the most important question, all right, can you afford to lose this money?
That's the big one. If it goes south,
Because it might, you never know.
you really don't. And that's investing.
So let's say, hypothetically, right,
Okay.
Edison XFC, their tech, it works.
They pull it off.
It's as fast as they say it is. Does that automatically mean, like, everyone's switching to EVs? Is that the magic bullet?
It's a good question. Charging speed is a big deal, no doubt.
Huge.
But it's not the only factor, right?
What else is there?
Well, EVs themselves got to be affordable. People got to be able to buy them.
Right, makes sense.
Battery range is a big one. People don't want range anxiety.
No one wants to be stranded.
Exactly. And then just the availability of charging stations.
Yeah, they got to be everywhere, right?
Everywhere. It's like the early days of the internet.
Okay, I like that analogy.
You could have the fastest modem in the world.
Right, but if the website takes forever to load,
It doesn't matter.
what's the point? Right.
It's the same thing here. We need the infrastructure to support this.
So we've talked a lot about Edison XFC, the good, the bad, the potential, the risks.
We went deep. And I think we're left with more questions than answers, right?
That's how it usually goes with these things.
Are they going to revolutionize EV charging, or are they just hype?
We'll have to wait and see.
Only time will tell.
But it's exciting, right?
It is, because they're pushing the boundaries, making us think about the future.
And that's what innovation is all about.
So to wrap things up, we'll leave you with this.
Imagine a world where charging your car is as easy as, I don't know, ordering a coffee.
I love it.
No more range anxiety, no more searching for a charging station.
And the best part is,
It's all powered by clean energy.
that's the dream, right?
Dream, and we're one step closer every day.
That's it for the deep dive. Thanks for listening. See you next time.